By 1973, the golden age of the American muscle car was over. The roaring bonfire of horsepower that had defined the late 1960s had been unceremoniously extinguished, leaving behind only the cold, gray embers of a bygone era. A perfect storm of crushing insurance premiums for young drivers, new and sweeping government safety regulations, and the tightening, suffocating grip of the Environmental Protection Agency had systematically dismantled the high-compression, big-block engines of just a few years prior. Horsepower figures were in a freefall across the industry. The mighty 426 Hemi was gone. The fire-breathing Boss Mustangs were a distant memory. The once-feared Chevelle SS was now a shadow of its former self, often equipped with engines that could barely get out of their own way. It was, without a doubt, a dark and depressing time for performance enthusiasts. But in the midst of this performance apocalypse, one division at General Motors stubbornly refused to surrender. Pontiac, the brand that had arguably kickstarted the entire muscle car craze with the GTO a decade earlier, was secretly engineering one last defiant monster. Behind closed doors, a small band of renegade engineers built a street engine that was, for all intents and purposes, a detuned, blueprinted racing engine, designed with a level of heavy-duty componentry that openly laughed in the face of the new, smog-choked reality. It was an engine so potent, so over-engineered, and so far beyond anything else on the market that it terrified the competition and even made GM's own buttoned-down executives profoundly nervous. This is the story of the last true muscle car, a legend born in the darkest of times, the 1973 Pontiac Super Duty 455. To truly understand how miraculous the Super Duty 455, or SD-455, truly was, we have to paint a vivid picture of the bleak automotive landscape of 1973. The Clean Air Act of 1970 had mandated a massive, non-negotiable reduction in vehicle emissions. To meet these new standards, automakers, under immense pressure and tight deadlines, resorted to crude but effective measures. They slashed compression ratios from over 10-to-1 down to a pathetic 8-to-1. They added restrictive pellet-filled catalytic converters and complex exhaust gas recirculation systems that choked the life out of their engines. The result was a catastrophic loss of power. A 1973 Corvette with the top-of-the-line 454 big block, once a symbol of American might, now produced a mere 275 horsepower. Chrysler's most powerful V8, the 440, was rated at just 280 horsepower. These were the new top dogs, and they were a far cry from the 425-plus horsepower legends of the late 60s. It was in this hostile environment that a small, dedicated team of Pontiac engineers, led by the brilliant Herb Adams and his protege Jeff Young, decided to build one final, no-compromise performance engine. They were true believers in horsepower, veterans of the glory days, and they knew that the window of opportunity was closing fast. The project had actually begun years earlier, intended for a new, high-performance version of the GTO. But as the muscle car market collapsed and the GTO was demoted to a mere option package, the incredible engine was left without a home. The engineers, however, refused to let their masterpiece die on the vine. They lobbied, they pushed, and through sheer force of will, they managed to get the engine certified for use in the 1973 Firebird Formula and Trans Am models. The Super Duty 455 was not just a standard Pontiac 455 with a few bolt-on parts. It was a fundamentally different and vastly superior engine from the oil pan up. The project's engineers started with a special heavy-duty cylinder block, It was reinforced with 4-bolt main bearing caps for incredible strength at the bottom end, and featured additional material, or webbing, cast into the block's lifter valley and along the main journals, areas where standard blocks were known to fail under the extreme stress of racing. This wasn't just for show. It was a block designed from day one to withstand the rigors of high RPM competition. Inside this fortified block, Pontiac installed a forged steel crankshaft and forged connecting rods, components typically found only in dedicated race cars, not showroom production models. The pistons were also lightweight forged aluminum, a massive and expensive upgrade over the heavy cast pistons used in virtually every other American V8 of the era. The cylinder heads were a work of art, featuring massive, free-flowing intake and exhaust ports with a design directly inspired by Pontiac's successful Trans Am racing programs. The valve train was designed to handle sustained high RPM abuse, and the engine was even designed from the factory to accommodate a dry sump oiling system, a feature found only on the most exotic European sports cars and all-out racing machines. This was not an engine for commuting. It was an engine for dominating. Perhaps the most audacious part of the SD-455 was that it was designed from the outset to be easily modified for even greater performance. The camshaft, while neutered slightly to pass the stringent emissions tests, was still considered aggressive for its time. More importantly, the engine's incredible bottom-end strength meant that owners could install a much wilder aftermarket cam, high-flow headers, and other performance parts without any fear of breaking the engine. It was an open invitation from the engineers to unlock the engine's true potential. Getting this engine past the GM corporate watchdogs and the EPA was a Herculean task that involved both clever engineering and a bit of corporate subterfuge. Pontiac had to submit the engine for a grueling 50,000-mile emissions certification test, a process designed to kill off exactly this kind of motor. Legend has it that the engineers cleverly tuned the test engines with slightly different carburetor jets and ignition timing just barely past the emissions requirements, knowing full well that the production versions would be significantly more potent. The official horsepower rating was a strategic lie, a deliberately understated figure of 310 net horsepower. This was done to avoid attracting unwanted attention from GM's top brass. The true, real-world output was closer to 370 horsepower, and that was with all the restrictive emissions equipment still attached. In the horsepower desert of 1973, the SD-455 was a thundering oasis of brute force. When the car finally hit the streets, the performance world was left in a state of shock and awe. In an era where the fastest cars were struggling to break into the 14-second range in the quarter mile, the 1973 Pontiac Trans Am SD-455 was a time machine, instantly transporting drivers back to the glory days. Car and Driver magazine got their hands on one and ripped off a blistering 13.5-second quarter mile at 104 miles per hour. This wasn't just fast for 1973, it was fast, period. It was a level of straight-line performance that hadn't been seen in a factory production car since the peak of the muscle car wars in 1970. The SD-455 didn't just beat its contemporaries, it utterly humiliated them. It was a full second faster than the most powerful Corvette of the year, and left the best from Mopar, the 440-powered Challenger and Charger, struggling to keep up. The Trans Am, already renowned for its superb handling capabilities that far surpassed its rivals, was now armed with an engine that could take on and defeat almost anything in a straight line. It was the complete package, the last car of the era that truly delivered on the promise of supercar performance in a mass-produced, American-made package. It was a monster that had no business existing, and it terrified the competition. So, why didn't every enthusiast in America rush out to buy one? The story, as with many of these rare beasts, is complicated. The SD-455 was an expensive option, adding a significant amount to the price of a Firebird. Furthermore, Pontiac did very little to advertise it. They knew they had a tiger by the tail, and seemed almost afraid to alert GM's corporate leadership or the federal government to the true nature of the beast they had unleashed. As a result, production numbers were incredibly, heartbreakingly low. For the entire 1973 model year, only 252 Trans Ams and a mere 43 Firebird formulas were equipped with the legendary Super Duty 455 engine. That's a total of just 295 cars for the entire world. The following year, 1974, would be the engine's last stand, with another 943 Trans Ams and 58 formulas receiving the SD-455, before Pontiac was finally forced by GM to cease production for good. The monster had been slain, not by its competition on the street, but by tightening regulations and overwhelming corporate pressure. Today, the 1973-74 Super Duty 455 cars are the holy grail for Pontiac collectors and muscle car enthusiasts everywhere. They represent the defiant, brilliant last stand of a team of engineers who refused to let the spirit of performance die. It was an engine built with pure racing DNA, slipped into a production car during the darkest days of the malaise era. It was a loud, unapologetic middle finger to the establishment, a rolling testament to what was possible when passionate engineers decide to break the rules. The Super Duty 455 wasn't just the last great muscle car engine. It was a statement, a final, glorious roar before the long silence.